Every now and then you come across a piece that just captivates you. Such is the case with this one. I don't know what period it's from, I really don't know what style it is, and I don't even know what you'd technically call it. What I do know is it's the right price and it's coming home with me. We'll figure everything else out as we go. This is a 5-drawer dresser, and at first glance it looks pretty straightforward. But tucked inside is a secret that alone makes this piece worth digging into. The drawers are dovetailed, which is always a good sign, and the wood is solid, but definitely on the lighter side. And here's the real surprise. This hidden secretary desk built into the second drawer. Pieces like this always have a story. Let's get this finish off and uncover what this dresser's been hiding besides the secret desk. When I picked up this dresser, I thought I knew exactly what I was getting myself into. Classic vintage piece, solid lines, great bones, and a hidden secretary's desk tucked right inside the second drawer. I mean, how do you walk away from that? You don't, so I didn't. The plan was simple: get it here, strip it down, stain it, bring it back to that warm, rich wood tone that I assumed it once had, except the dresser had other plans. As soon as I started stripping it, the truth came out. The wood is thin, the species don't even match, and the grain is, well, it's not that great. This thing was painted for a reason. Here's the thing, and it's a thing that should always be considered by those that flip furniture. Time versus profit matters. I could spend days trying to coax sustainable surface out of the body and drawers, but the math just ain't math for that option, so we learned to pivot. I am not going to worry about getting every last bit of the old finish off. I'm literally going to stop exactly where I am because the sanding and the primer will take care of that and you'll never know it's there. We're sanding, we're priming, we're painting, and we are probably going to go next level with this piece with a fabulous transfer or a decoupage. Probably a transfer, that's what I'm actually thinking, but we'll fill that out when we get a little bit closer. The body's going to get a whole new finish, but the top, hopefully that still has potential to be stained. Maybe, possibly, if the DIY gods are feeling generous on me today. Please. I've been so good lately. I'm gonna try to save it regardless. No promises. We'll see when we get into it what exactly we're looking at, because projects have a mind of their own, and in case you hadn't noticed, this one's already been incredibly vocal. A little too vocal. Think you need to be quiet right about now and let me work my magic. I am also really excited because Santa found my studio this Christmas and bought me a dust extractor. And I'm hoping I'm going to be able to use this with my Surf Prep Pro. Well, I know I'm going to be able to use it. I'm not sure if I have the right connections for a fit or anything like that. I might have to get some collars. So until then, to test it out, you might see some tape holding it together.
Mind your business, that's all. Mind your business.
And it's all good in the hood as long as it gets the job done and keeps the dust from spreading all around my beautiful studio, because we all know how much I just loathe dusting.
Loathe entirely.
Okay, anything I can do to bring it to a minimum, I'm gonna. And that's what this machine is for. Thanks, Santa. Let's see how it works. First off, if you know anything about dust extractors, then you know they are hundreds of dollars, like $600, $700, $800, and $900. And I couldn't afford that. I heard of someone purchasing this Hercules model, which is an OSHA-compliant dust extractor vacuum from Harbor Freight, and they used it with all their tools, so we're gonna give it a try too. The attachment collars that I had don't fit on the Surf Prep, but I'm pretty sure I can just kind of tape it together and see how that goes. That should work, right? I painstakingly wound a buttload of painter's tape around the two connections to try to give it as much stability and strength as I possibly could with painter's tape. I didn't want to use any duct tape because I don't really want to get that gooey gunk stuck on these things, but maybe if I use enough of the painter's tape, it'll be strong enough to hold and work. Next, it was time to turn this bad Larry on, plug in the Surf Prep, and have a moment of truth to see if this works or not. Oh my God, this thing works so good. There is not one speck of dust that is not being sucked into the vacuum. What a game changer this totally is. I am stoked out of my mind right now because I cannot believe there's literally none. Like, you don't see any. No sanding dust whatsoever is coming out from this. Oh, this is working so good. Okay, so remember how I said this was working really, really good? Yeah, well.
The lie detector test determined that was a lie.
So then I did what any reasonable DIYer would do when the universe says no. I MacGyvered the whole thing. Grabbed a cardboard tube, the same tape with commitment issues, and built myself a custom adapter that absolutely should not work, but totally does. Is it pretty? No. Is it OSHA approved? Also no. Does it get the job done? Absolutely. And honestly, that's the whole spirit of a DIY. A little creativity, a little chaos, and a whole lot of we're making this work whether it wants to or not. Failure is not an option. And let me tell ya, MacGyver would be proud. This is working great. Now that dust-free peace has been restored in my world, I want to get back to that conversation I wanted to have with you regarding cost versus profit. When you're flipping furniture, every decision you make comes down to one thing: cost versus profit. Sometimes the smartest move is knowing which corners actually matter and which you can cut. Not every piece is an heirloom, not every dresser is a museum restoration, and if it's not antique and the buyer will never see the underside, back panel, or the inside of the drawer, whatever the case may be, then that is where you can save your time. And remember, time is money. The truth is, your profit lives in the parts people touch, the parts they see and fall in love with. That's where the craftsmanship counts. And now that does not mean leaving a piece dilapidated or broken. Take pride in your name and in your work. Those types of corners are never cut. You always get the piece solid before you work your magic. Sometimes cutting a corner is not being lazy. It's being strategic. It's protecting your time, your energy, and your bottom line. Do the work where it matters. Let the rest of it go. That's how you stay profitable. That's how you stay sane, and that's how you keep those pieces moving. Simple advice to follow, and it really is the truth. I noticed this corner could use just a little bit of glue and a clamp, so I decided to use my glue syringe, get some glue down inside there, clamp it for the night, and let that sit back where it belongs. These are the details I'm talking about that you don't want to skimp on. You want to make sure that you put things like this back together. Before I can actually prime these drawers, there's something that's really bugging me about them. I can't stand that some of them have that separating line in them and the others are flat. I like it way better flat. So I'm gonna fill in those spaces with some Bondo and just give myself a nice smooth surface the whole way down. Before we get to the good stuff, which is the color, we have to do some steps to prep for our staining process that I want to do. I got the parts I wanted to stain sanded down to bare wood, and listen, they did not greet me with fanfare, let me tell ya. It wasn't the warm, even grain I was hoping for. Instead, I got stains, blotches, and patchy areas that look like a topological map of New England, if you know what I mean. And again, here comes cost versus profit. Is this an ideal grain? No. Is it surprising to find it like this? Also no. This is vintage furniture, and it generally has a little attitude. We all know this one does. But here's the thing, I am not giving up yet. I'm gonna try staining it anyways because sometimes you can pull through with a last minute miracle. And if that doesn't work, I've got a couple tricks up my sleeve to help me blend and hide and disguise all of those areas to try to give me that stained, beautiful grain look I'm going for. And maybe, just maybe, I'll be able to turn this chaotic grain into something absolutely gorgeous. Fingers crossed. Will any of this work? I don't know, but we're gonna do it together and find out. And to start on those areas, we are gonna start with a paint wash. It's going to be made with Algonquin by Fusion Mineral Paint, and it's going to be a 7-to-1 ratio. 7 parts water, 1 part paint. This will help tone the piece down and somewhat neutralize the discoloration and blotchiness so that my stain has a better chance of actually doing what I want it to do. Maybe, hopefully. That's the plan.
While the wash is drying, I'm going to jump back onto the piece and get the primer on it. I'm using my go-to tinted gray primer. It's nothing glamorous, it's nothing fancy, but it definitely is the quiet hero that makes every color look richer and every finish look professional. Now, if you find that the first coat goes on a little patchy, like it's questioning all of its life choices, which I can totally relate to, by the way, that's fine. That's sometimes what first coats do. Let it dry, let it take a breath, and then come back in for round 2 if you need it. You just want everything evened out and you want the surface to settle, and then suddenly the piece will be ready for the next step, which is the fun part and some color. The last thing I want to get on this piece tonight is I want the stain to be on the portions that I want to stain. I want to see how that looks, I want to see how it's coming out, and I want to put the stain on before I actually paint it, because staining can kind of be messy, especially getting it into the corners, and that way I can go over it with a fresh coat of paint and you'll never see any mess underneath it. I'm going in with my Minwax gel stain in the shade of Walnut. I want a darker shade to help disguise that splotchy grain up there, and what I like about gel stain is that I can actually manipulate it like a glaze. So using a brush I can go heavier or lighter, applying it to even out that top. To start, it's just going to be a normal application, and from there I'll see how much more I have to add to or take away to get it to look right. The bottom looks really good. That middle piece of trim running through it looks absolutely beautiful. I cannot complain about the grain on either of them, but this top was definitely fighting me, and it's just not going to be the look that I was hoping it could. I'm gonna have to go heavier with my glaze, but I'm hoping because it's the top and the angle that it's at, you actually won't see that it's heavier on the top. It'll kind of all look cohesive and together when you're looking at the piece as a whole. At least that's what I'm going for. I'm still plunging forward with this. I've got my application on there. I did put 2 coats of the gel stain on the bottom and on the middle section. On the top, I went with 3 coats, and I just kind of pulled it back to where I thought it looked good. As good as I can get it anyways, without spending a million hours on this, which is not cost effective. So it is what it is. We are where we are, and we are finishing up for the night, and we shall look at it in the morning with a fresh new perspective and less aggravation, hopefully.
This color looks so good. I am loving the depth and the tone that this came out to. That paint wash underneath there was the secret to the whole thing, and it works so good. But what I want to do now, before we paint, because we're at that stage, we're ready to get the color on here, but first I want to sand the areas that we stained yesterday. It's looking really good, but I want a real buttery soft finish on it. I'm gonna go in with a very fine sponging pad. This is a Surf Prep one, so it's like somewhere up to like a 325 grit. I'm just gonna go very lightly over the grain, just enough to knock down any texture that might be there and let the remaining finish feel like silk, because that's what I want. Buttery smooth silk. Barely any pressure at all. I'm just letting the pad do the work.
The top looks way better than I expected.
Now that the primer's cured and our scuff sanding it's done, it's time for the fun part. That's revealing the color to you guys.
Are you ready? We're going in with Carriage House by Fusion Mineral Paint. It's this gorgeous soft green that somehow looks vintage and modern at the same time. This is the part of the project where everything starts to shift and the piece is finally beginning to show us who it's about to become. The first coat is always a little nerve-wracking and a little thrilling. It's not perfect and it's not meant to be. It's just the beginning. But even now you can see the color waking the whole piece up as we go. All right, the first coat has had its moment, and now it's time for the second coat of Carriage House. This is the one that brings in depth, richness, and the full personality of the color. The first coat introduces the piece. The second coat seals the deal. We've got 2 coats on the piece. The insert is primed. That'll be ready for its coat of white. What a fiasco that was. I remember it like it was yesterday. I think it was yesterday. I wanted to paint the insert a deep hunter green, so I grabbed this Krylon Fusion all-in-one in this gorgeous satin hunter green shade. Well, I quickly realized that there's really no pigment to this color, and it was going to take about 956 million coats to get it to go from grass green to the actual hunter green shade I wanted, and drips were starting to form, and I'm starting to get really aggravated, so this is not working. I'm going to have to pivot with this. This is, oh, I'm getting so mad right now. I let this wicked shade of green sit and cure before grabbing my primer and covering the piece again. I am not going to mess around with that many coats and that many drips, and it's going to look horrible and tacky, and that is not going to have my name or stamp on it. So I am pivoting, and I am going to figure out another color that is going to be way easier, totally cohesive, and go completely with the design for the inside. Give me one night to think about it. I'll come up with something. What a fiasco that was. So everything's gonna cure overnight, and then when we come back at it tomorrow, we're gonna bring the whole piece together with an amazing transfer, if I can ever decide on one. That is the toughest decision for me when it comes to doing my projects, because there are a few different choices that I could use for any given project I'm doing at any given time, and it's so hard picking the right one. But I do think I know which one I'm going to use. I'm excited to share that with you guys tomorrow. Everything will be pulled together then. The hardware, oh my God, I totally forgot about the hardware. I am not a fan of these, not even a little bit. But they do go with the piece, and replacing them would be very costly. And at this point in the project, I'm committed. So I'm gonna make these work. They are pulls, but here's the other part. These little holly berry holes, yeah, no. Adorable for Christmas maybe, but not so much on a piece of furniture. After the piece is sanded, I am gonna fill these in with Bondo. So once I have these done, then I can let everything sit and cure for the night, and tomorrow we'll be able to come back and really make a difference on this piece with the vision, the actual artistic vision, because that's the exciting part. At least it is to me. All right, let's do these. For the insert, I decided to go with Rust-Oleum's Heirloom White, which is this creamy, beautiful, very gentle off-white. It is not a yellow color. I hope it's not transmitting as yellow on the video. It's just a very warm cream, and I thought that would complement the green really nicely. But I think it still needs a little something. I think it's very plain, and I need to figure it out. It's actually been a couple of days, and I have to say I cannot stand these knobs on this piece. I put them on thinking that they would look good and I could just reuse them and save some money, and as soon as they got on the piece, I hated the piece. I hated everything about it, and I knew it was the knobs. No bueno, not happening, don't like it. I think they're absolutely hideous and they're dragging the piece down. So I blindly ordered some off of Amazon, and I am praying that they are what I need to complete this piece. It's always a nerve-wracking process to order hardware off of Amazon because you don't know if it's gonna work or not. And then if it doesn't, you have to return it and start the process all over again. But sometimes it's a necessity, and that's what it was with this, because I would have burned this. I absolutely think it's hideous with the original hardware. I went with an antique brass finish, and I didn't want to mess with the holes that were there, so I worked with the existing center to center measurements for all of my pulls, and I ordered off of that, which happened to be 2.5 inches on center, and that's the handles. Well, I definitely like it better. I think they're right for the piece, but I also had 2 knobs to contend with too. So I had to take that into consideration. So I did. I'm gonna have to do a little touching up to the drawer fronts, but these are definitely the better choice for the piece. I also cleaned up the hinges by boiling them in my vinegar and water solution, and they cleaned up really nice. So it's time to put the drawer with a secret back on the secretary insert. And here's where the whole thing went sideways. This piece's temper is coming out worse than my own. And I'm at the point where I'm ready to burn it. I knew that the drawer had a curve to it. It has like a twist to it where the wood is actually twisted and it needs to go back. And I thought I would be able to kind of finagle an adjustment and make it unnoticeable and close it. But you can totally see this. Like, there is absolutely no hiding the gap right there. Like, it needs to go in that much. Like this end, nice and straight. And you can see it. You can see the warp of this coming out. So once again, just another little temper tantrum she's going to throw with a major curveball in it for me. I had no intentions on making this a 2-part episode, but I'm actually going to. And we're going to use this piece as a very incredible, valuable lesson to show you what can totally go wrong with a piece. And I do want to burn it. I want to smash it into kindling right now, which is why I'm going to walk away from this. But there is a way to fix it, and we're going to handle that in the next part. It's going to involve stripping this drawer and starting again, but I'm pretty confident that I will be able to straighten that drawer out. I'm not going to keep this video going. It would be an hour long, so this is the perfect place to stop the part 1. I'm going to get away from it before I smash it into bits and pieces. Thank you for joining me. Be sure to stay tuned for part 2 so I can show you how we are going to fix this twisted wood. And yes, you can fix it. Not going to be fun, but it can take a little bit longer, but it can be done, and I'm going to show you how, and we're going to get through this together. It's just going to take a little longer to get there. I'll see you guys next time for part 2, where we conquer this beast once and for all, because I'm getting pretty sick and tired of this. It's getting to be one of those not worth my time and aggravation pieces, you know? Oh well, we'll make a lesson out of it. Bye.